My name is Darren Joseph from HTJ.tax, and we're the team that seeks to demystify the sometimes confusing world of international tax. And today we have the honor and privilege of having another conversation with Mark. Mark, could you introduce yourself?
I'm an advisor to the entire financial industry on CRS, FATCA, and CARF, and I've advised the OECD and the EU Parliament and the EU Commission and the German government, etc. All this is on my website for anybody to look at.
Fantastic. What is out of scope as far as CARF is concerned?
Yeah. Central Bank Digital Currencies, which is a crypto asset representing a claim in a fiat currency on an issuing bank that functions similar to money and can be held in a traditional account, is not in. Another one that's interesting that is a closed loop crypto asset that is restricted for use within a network for the purchase of goods or services with participating merchants, and therefore presents a low risk of tax evasion because it's limited redemption rights.
Like in a video game, for example, digital assets in a video game?
So the main feature is
right?
The crypto asset can't be used for payments or investments.
Right, so outside of that closed user group.
There are specified electronic money products. It took me quite a while to understand what is e-money. I had to look this up. eBay, PayPal, what is electronic money? It's a digital representation of a fiat currency issued in exchange for equivalent funds used for payment transactions.
What about stable coins?
No, stable coins is definitely in. You mean like linked to the dollar and so on?
Exactly.
Yeah, no, that's in. That's not a central bank digital currency.
Right, okay.
And then retail payments less than $50,000, which I mentioned.
Right.
The main feature is if it can't be used for payment or investment, it's not in scope. Now, what are the other? That's the cryptos. Which users are out of scope? And that's where planning can come into effect. So they are even though you're using an exchange in a reportable jurisdiction, but your entity is a financial institution in a non-reporting jurisdiction.
Right.
One of the things that I skipped over is what's the main difference between CRS and CARF? I've mentioned it before for FATCA, actually. There was this Robert Brockman that didn't report on billions using his investment entities. He simply lied and said there's nobody to report. Okay, there was the single biggest case in US history of tax evasion using what the Senate Finance Committee wrote a 40-page report called the Shell Bank loophole. The OECD noticed that, surprisingly enough, and they made it that investment entities holding crypto are reportable by the underlying crypto asset service provider. Before it was, you're a professionally managed investment entity, you're a financial institution, we're not going to report. Now, professionally managed investment entities are looked through. And so that's reporting by the crypto asset service provider, plus the professionally managed investment entity remains a reporting financial institution, so he would have to duplicate report. There are structures you can set up where your financial institution is non-reportable.
Professionally managed investment institution, you're talking about FIs, financial institutions, as in regulated whatever jurisdiction. All right, so something that actually, an entity that actually handles third-party money. I got you. In terms of, going back to the point you raised earlier, in terms of planning being about taking advantage of non-participating jurisdictions, what jurisdictions one would imagine have zero intention of coming to the table, no matter what?
Well, I've written some articles where I have a big elephant in the room making a lot of mess in the room. And the OECD is saying, what elephant in the room? And on the backside of the elephant says 160 countries haven't joined CARF.
Right.
If you ask me which ones won't, I think a lot won't. Okay. Mainly because it's not a minimum structure. Of course, I have some jurisdictions that are excluded from reporting, but that's for planning purposes. And
okay, gotcha.